Well, hello again. It's been about 3 weeks. I haven't posted since I think late July. Um, and a lot has happened. Most of it in my head, funny enough. So I guess, yeah, about a few weeks ago at the end of July, I hired and started working with a business coach. So this is the first time I've paid someone to look at how I work instead of what I'm working on. It seemed like a no-brainer deal for me in terms of the offer, and it was someone I already trust, I had a relationship with. So yeah, it was a no-brainer to start working together. Basically, on the first call, the one sentence summary that the man Sam Ovens said is, "You don't have business problems; you have personal problems that show up in your business." And so I remember hearing that, and I was watching some Sam Ovens videos like a few weeks before I started working with the coach, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that quote," but I never thought it really applied to me. And then working with him, talking through some things, I realized that and even rewatching like the previous videos, I basically said like once this will be done, I'll be less busy. And so I said it July and May and June. Um, and so I thought it was like a time problem, but like it isn't actually. Like reconstructing the pattern. It's just it's not about time and like me being in control. Like I am the one that's working all the time. So the thing was I was focusing a lot on defense, not so much offense. So like specifically client work is the defensive one, kind of retention, whereas sales is offense, trying to get more clients. And so the sales is the one that feels optional, even though both are required for my goal. And so there was part of made me realize it is like there was one week where I had like, I don't know, maybe 40 follow-ups to do that I've been pushing off, which seems crazy to even say and admit, but yeah, I pushed it off, and actually getting through all of them, I found out that like one person found someone else. So there was a lost sale, and that kind of hurt a little bit. But it didn't like fire any alarm bells in my head, which is why it kind of went, not, I wouldn't say unnoticed, but like unresolved for so long. Granted, I'm still working through it, but it just didn't look like laziness. It was me being busy, which exactly was the problem. Like, it didn't sound any alarm bells of like, hey, you're not being productive, because it felt productive, and truthfully, it is productive. It's just not the most productive thing to be doing, which was like service delivery, and specifically prioritizing service delivery over sales. And so the underneath all of this, like the root is fear, like as with the most things. And that part was, I guess, kind of uncomfortable to realize, because I didn't want to think I was operating out of fear. Like I I don't know why I think that or I feel that, but I just want to be operating out of like a place of like love for my work and just like wanting to do it, and I do. Um, and so when I realized I was like operating out of a place of fear, I realized like, okay, I actually need to change something. And so I realized delivery was taking priority because I was just scared of losing a client. And I think I mentioned this in a previous video, or maybe this was just something I journaled about, but it's because like the asymmetry with client um, acquisition and client churn is like losing, on an extreme example, takes like 1 day, right? They can just say, hey, like actually next month, like I don't want to cancel. And they can do that the day before um, renewing, because like I just have month to month stuff. The problem is that replacing one generally takes weeks. And so I'll get to this a little bit later, but like that was the frame I was operating under. And generally, yes, client acquisition takes longer because I have to like find someone, get them to trust me, get set up with all their systems, and then launch. Whereas like churn can just take like 1 day. Um, the good news is churn is within my control. Like as long as I provide good results, then it like drastically reduces the chance of churn, which is I've identified as like the number one retention lever is good results. And second to that is expectation setting. So you can get like fantastic results, but if I were to set expectations differently, then they would still perceive it to be bad results and then churn. So those two go kind of hand in hand. But at the end of the day, I thought results, and that's why I was prioritizing service delivery. And so it was like a pattern of, oh, let me just reply to this real quick. And then it turns into like an hour of like building out the whole thing. And then the sales and follow-up works like slides to 4 p.m. And then I'm like, okay, maybe 5 because I can still call like BC and Alberta. And then it's like, oh, I got to eat. And then it's like 7, 8 p.m. And it's like, oh, I can't, I'll just do it tomorrow morning. And so, yeah, I guess part of like realizing that will be getting onto meditation again, which helps me feel good, and recognizing those patterns and those loops, and like trying to enforce a hard stop at 9 p.m. on most nights. And so that's one thing that's actually kind of been challenging, because I like pushing things forward, but it's also not the most productive with just needing to get good sleep. And so I guess as a side note, I did hit the revenue goal that I set for myself. So that is a win, but it doesn't feel like, I think I mentioned in the last video, like I would want more, and I still do want more, because I now I want headroom, right? Because like I hit my goal, but I just barely hit it, and barely doing a lot of work in that sentence. And so granted, like I could cut some business expenses and like lean down, but like all the expenses do provide some sort of benefit. Like my phone calling software, I could just dial from my phone, but it provides some really nice automation and like transcription of phone calls when I make cold calls. So yeah, there's some room to play around with, but this is essentially what I wanted, though, is having something that I can morph and change and like put more effort into and like make more money compared to just a job. And so yeah, in quite literally 1 month, I'm moving to Toronto. So the run rate is my personal run rate is going to increase, or my burn rate. And so I hope my run rate increases as well. And then, yeah, in the meantime, like someone actually found me on Google. Like they just looked up, like, I don't know, Google Ads company, and they found me. They texted me Monday. Tuesday we had a call, and then Friday we started working together. So that kind of broke some beliefs. Like one, a very tactical one of like, hey, I should invest in SEO and things that like build a flywheel. And second is that people do move quickly if the fit is right. And so I just need to find and get myself in front of those people. And so that resulted in me appointing an agent at my own website, or at the business website, and had it produced about 100 pages of like researched content. Granted, it burned a lot of tokens because I didn't want to just put out slop. And so it's all like quite, I'd say, high quality stuff. It referenced up against like my knowledge base, and I had like I did some QA after. And so in a few months, hopefully that'll start picking up some organic leads. I'm expecting maybe like 1 a month at the maximum. But we'll see. I'm not doing any like backlinks or stuff. Like it's purely just technical and on-page stuff. And then I'm also about to start testing meta ads, which I'm looking forward to. Now, obviously that's going to take a bunch of cash, but I have some cash to play around with. And I want to turn that, let's say, static cash or that like one-time cash into recurring work, which I guess is like the textbook definition of reinvesting in the business. So every bottleneck left is basically, I can't really say like I didn't have time, because I've been spending all my time, and it's just about like what I choose to spend my time on. So it's just like I didn't prioritize it is the actual answer, and that's kind of like a brutal lesson to learn. So where this leaves me is follow-ups first, always, because everything, no matter if I run meta ads or I do cold calls or do cold emails, it all ends up in the follow-ups bucket. And so follow-ups above everything, and that extends to prioritizing like new sales, like cold calls or cold email, things like that. This is before I start any client work in the day, unless there's like an actual fire, and that kind of leads into the second one of like determining if something is an actual like on fire, like a client is like, if I don't act, they will lose money, which doesn't happen too often. Or just, hey, this is a nice to have, this is an improvement. And so that's what I've set for myself. I'm trying the hardest to stick towards it, because I have these patterns and these behaviors and these, I guess, habits, these work habits that I've built up that are kind of contrary to this. And so that is what I'm working on. And I guess it comes back to that Hormozy quote of your work works on you more than you work on it. And so, granted, the business has done incredible growth in the past few months. Like, it's actually gone fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. And I've also had a lot of growth personally. So yeah, it's quite interesting seeing those quotes reflect in my own life. And so tomorrow, I'm also going to show up at a prospect's physical office tomorrow, unannounced, which I've never done. But that's a story for next time. Peace.